campaign that's taking place today, as well as a fundraising event that's taking place today for the Philadelphia Children's Alliance.
This is a great thing.
Absolutely. And this is to help out in many different ways children who have been affected by sexual abuse. Yeah. And it's pretty amazing, and they're really trying to bring it to the forefront. And it's in conjunction with the Philadelphia Soul, and we have a couple of guests who are going to join us about this. But first of all, let's get your mayor of Philadelphia, Michael Nutter, is on.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well, And I understand my friend Carl Lewis is in the house.
Carl Lewis is in the studio, right?
Yeah.
Blame him for the weather.
Well, obviously, we're going to talk about the Children's Alliance and today, but real quick before we get into that a little bit, because you most recently, you're great for sound bites, by the way, Mr. Mayor. But offering up the $20,000 reward for tips leading to arrest of criminals and so forth. I think it's a very cool move, and we've been with you at the Fraternal Order of Police before, and heard you speak very passionately when there are no microphones and cameras around about how you feel about crime, and I just I'm inspired by your passion.
Well, thank you. I won't repeat some of those things. I know you're trying to run a family program, but I feel very, very passionately about this city. I love this city. I love our children and all of our citizens, and we deserve better, and we can be better. And so we are not going to put up with this kind of idiocy going on in our city. I don't understand the psychology of some of these folks, but I didn't run for psychologist. So what we are going to do is make sure that we do everything we can to prevent crime, to intervene in people's lives, and then work in a collaborative fashion to make this city a better place. So the reward money, yes, we're putting a bounty on the heads of those who kill people, shoot people in this city, and we'll give those who give us information for the arrest and conviction of someone involved in a murder up to $20,000. We will give $500 for information, at least recovery and arrest of someone with an illegal gun. But there is more to that, and I think the community needs to get actively engaged and involved. Use our tips at phillypolice.com email address. You can send us information, a photo, a video, or other email information. We're putting boots on the ground with more officers going in the academy this spring, and more officers coming out of the academy, 120 of them already up there right now. They'll be out before June. And I authorize more overtime for the officers that are presently on the force. We need information from the community to help us clamp down on the kind of crime that's going on in this city. Some of it unexplainable, senseless, just completely off the hook, crazy. But when the community gets involved, when people step up, help us with information, police officers doing their job, we can have a safer city, and we are not going to tolerate this foolishness, stupid, ignorant behavior by some here in Philadelphia.
I think that's a great way to approach it, because you start to make people feel empowered, and so that when people just, for so long have been sitting home watching the news and going, oh my God, it's getting horrible. Once people sense that by their vigilance they can start to make a turn for the better, I think that will catch on.
That is our expectation. I have a lot of faith in Philadelphians. We're a resilient people, and certainly a resilient city. And the year may have started off bad. We're pushing back hard, and we're going to clamp down pretty heavy. And folks need to get the message. Lastly, if you carry an illegal gun in the city of Philadelphia, there's already a state statute waiting for you. It's upwards of 2.5 to 5 years in prison. Our district attorney, Seth Williams, is on the case and will be pushing very, very hard when these matters come to court that if you have an illegal gun, you're going to jail. And that's what needs to happen. So people change their behavior, change their culture. I want you to think about the moment you wake up, or whatever it is you do, before you walk out of that house, or if you're even in your house with that illegal gun, don't even think about coming out on the streets of this city because we're coming after you.
And you're lucky as well that we do have a lot of great people in the community to do things for. I mean, obviously, you and the police handle the criminals. The victims are another side of things, and here is where the Children's Alliance comes in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's to keep an eye on those who have been victimized in horrible ways.
The most innocent of victims.
Yeah, and
our most vulnerable citizens.
Absolutely. So I know that part of one of is to raise awareness today, but there's also a fundraiser side of this, and the Philadelphia Soul is behind this, Mr. Mayor.
The Philadelphia Soul, not only great folks on the field, but certainly off the field as well, and they're sharing some of the proceeds. Half of every ticket sold that goes on sale today, half of those proceeds are going to the Philadelphia Children's Alliance. What a great organization! What a great partner! Certainly to have working with our Department of Human Services to get information out. Our DHS Commissioner Anne-Marie Ambrose and her team working together. We have a hotline at the DHS, 215-683-6100, to get child sexual abuse. It is heartbreaking. Some of the things that people do to children is incomprehensible, incredible, almost makes you speechless. But we have to bring this out of the shadows. Folks have to, again, know the warning signs and then be willing to step up and stand up and give us that information that we need to protect these children, end this cycle of child sexual abuse. Children who have been abused, studies show, are more often likely to grow up to be abusers themselves because that's been their experience. And so we need to intervene there. And the Philadelphia Soul, helping with the fundraising, partnered with the Children's Alliance, the Department of Human Services, the Police Special Victims Unit. Everyone has a role to play here. And if you know someone who is engaged in that kind of behavior, could be a family member, could be someone you've known for a long, long period of time, speak up for that child who cannot speak for him or herself and get us that information so we can stop this abuse of our children.
So we want to focus and remind people, again, that's for the 18 hours of the radio rally. Every ticket sold to the Soul home opener, which is April 1st. Soul's going to donate $15 to support the work of the Philadelphia Children's Alliance. So we really want to drive people and give them the incentive to participate in that today, because I think a lot of money raised for the cause makes a statement about how people feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's today only. All right, excellent. Mr. Mayor, we know you're a busy man. Thanks for checking in. We appreciate it. But we're gonna talk to Carl Lewis for a little bit.
Thank you both very, very much. Carl Lewis, a great American, and I'm proud that he's involved in this effort, but I would expect no less from Carl Lewis. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we have to fight for the message. I agree. It's a beautiful city.
Excellent. All right, thanks a lot. Mayor Michael
Yes.
Duttergate, President Steve Show. Now, can I do an official?
Yes, do an official. He deserves it, for God's sake.
Introduction to our next guest. His list of accolades are just, it's wow. It's amazing. 10 Olympic gold medals, 9 of which were gold medals, and just one of the greatest in the world of track and field in history.
Appearance on Perfect Strangers.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God, you remember that?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Lewis is here this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
How you doing, Carl?
Great. I never have a bad day.
Well, that's good to know. Excellent.
I don't. It's interesting listening to the mayor, and message is so important, because I think one of the problems is the stigma for all these children and also the communities. And I think the biggest thing about all these children is that people have to talk and take responsibility for your community, for your family, for the children. Same thing.
No, absolutely. And I think that as adults in the area that are listening right now, you really need to educate yourself to figure out and find out what the warning signs are when a child in your area is being abused. And I actually had to go through a couple of training sessions. I'm a archdiocesan member, and I volunteer at my child's school. So in order to do that, I had to go through a couple of training sessions. And the last one I went to was 3 hours long, and there were a lot of staggering statistics out there. And this year alone, the amount of kids that will be abused will be able to fill Citizens Bank Park like 16 times over.
Wow.
And that's just here in the United States.
You had an eye opener. With a lot of this, and it's as you were sitting there, Case, did you become aware of things that now you're going to look for that you weren't?
Well, yeah. There are a lot of things. Obviously, there are the criminals are a lot smarter than the kids. So a lot of times what criminals will do, the sexual abusers, is they'll trick the kids into thinking that the kids want to do these things themselves. Okay, so it's not necessarily the criminal. The kid's going to think that, and so the kids then think it's their fault,
and they become
that things
embarrassed.
have happened.
And they start to withdraw. And you see that difference, and then and the thing about it is that because it takes them to do that because they create the guilt within the child,
Right.
and that's the real problem.
Carl, can you think of anything more diabolical? I mean, for somebody, for innocent children, for someone to be, and the people who prey upon these kids is just horrifying. The lingering aspects of that, as the mayor was saying, will affect them throughout the rest of the days of their life if no one intervenes and steps up for them. How did you come to be involved with all of this?
Well, first of all, my relationship with the Soul, and I've followed the team. I'm a big fan of them, but also I've been a foster mentor for years, and it's funny you said that because I had to go through the licensing program as well, and I work with kids and deal in communities, and you can tell a difference in children. And the thing is that it's what angers me is the selfishness of the adults. It's the selfishness of it's about me and not about them, because not only does it affect the kids in terms of them becoming abusers, but also the way they see the world, because they see the world in a completely different way. It affects what they do at school, how they treat other people, how they treat animals. I mean, everything.
Yep.
It creates an anger inside of them. They have to fight as well.
Yeah, and there are just a lot of things, because you see these higher profile things, and I'll just say the Sandusky thing is very, very high profile right now. So when the general public sees these things, you assume that these sexual experiences are they're homosexual, and actually a majority of these sexual abuse going on is heterosexual.
Right.
Like a staggering majority is heterosexual, and also there's another statistic out there that says somewhere in the neighborhood it's over 90% of kids who accuse somebody of molesting them or sexually abusing them. Over 90% of them are telling the truth.
Wow.
So, and there's a lot of different reasons why people don't bring this up, and like adults are afraid of being wrong. So, suppose somebody thinks, let's say I'm guilty of doing something, they're afraid of falsely accusing me. So then people just don't say anything at all.
Wow.
I have a friend who has had two very interesting jobs over the last few years. The first was literally fighting terrorists, and he had to move out of that job, and now he's attempting to fight child abuse, and he's literally on the front lines of it. He has to set up online profiles to solicit for online sexual
predators. Yeah.
Correct. And I'm having a hard time determining which of the people that he was fighting are worse for humanity. Is it the child predators or is it the terrorists? But he has an interesting point, Carl, and maybe you can speak to this about there are really two prongs in the attack. One is an attempt to stop these people, which is really difficult because they're serial. They'll do it. If they do it once, they'll do it more than once. And the second is sort of what this charity speaks to, which is helping the people who have gone through abuse. So from your perspective, what would you like to see done more? What would you like to see, especially a charity like this, be done?
Well, first of all, what's really interesting is when you hear someone that abuses, oftentimes they're delusional. I mean, even when we're hearing some of the things that we're hearing from the Sandusky, it's just what is he thinking? So I think that we need to also focus a lot on their psyche. How did you get to that point? Is it something, insecurity in your world where you have to prey on someone that's younger and it's easier? Or maybe it's, I want to touch someone that is a virgin, so therefore they've never been touched. I mean, I think that we also don't spend enough time on the emotional side of why people start in the first place. And then when it comes to the children, we have to teach children to not only see the sides of in terms of abuse, but also that they're allowed to speak out and speak their mind more. Because when we have kids, even in school, the first thing we do is tell them, raise your hand to speak. Kids are not taught to be free thinkers anymore. They're on computers. They're doing this. So the reality is that they're not even free thinkers as well. So they think, I can say this and express myself. So I think that we need to look at all children and teach them even more how to express themselves, teach them at a young age that, yes, your word means something, so that when it's time to say something that's important to them, they can feel like they can speak out.
Right. And also, there's a majority of the perpetrators are not strangers. But the ones that are strangers, you really need to be involved, especially the older kids who are now on the internet and everything. You really need to be involved with who they're talking to and who they're
You have to be
conversing with.
proactive. Yeah.
You really do, and so don't allow them to have computers, let's say, in their room. Have a laptop. Make sure if they're on the internet or if they're on a computer, they're in the same room as you, and monitor absolutely everything you.
Remember, it may be their computer, but it's your internet parent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so with this, and what's great about Children's Alliance, obviously, these are things we can do to help keep an eye on and try and deter stuff like this from happening.
Right.
But for people that this has happened to,
This is their resource.
exactly, the Children's Alliance. And so you're urged to buy tickets today to the Philadelphia Soul's home opener, which is April 1st, I believe.
April 1st.
And $15, basically more than half of the ticket price, which is only $28 anyway, is going to go to them.
I mean, which is great. It's a chunk of change. All, our sister stations are all involved with this. All the greater media stations are partnered with the whole collective. And I'm a big fan, Carl, I'm sure you are as well, of the fact that in this concentrated way we can make an effort and a statement at the same time, because there's been so much of this popping up in the news, and it's cast just such a downer over so many people. Don't like to think about it, they don't like to talk about it, but as you said, to bring it into the light is how it starts to change.
Yeah, and we talk about there's so much media now. Well, sometimes there's an advantage to so much media, and because we think we didn't hear about all of the kids being taken or all this abuse in the past because we only had 3 stations. Well, now the fact that we have so many radio stations, so many television stations, that's a huge advantage. And then when you have someone that's connected, like the Soul or whatever, that's connected to it, then it keeps that process going. Even if you're at a game, wow, they care about that. So it keeps my mind moving on that. And it's something that has to go all the time, because, I mean, it's you only seconds many times, or just a few minutes for children to be affected. It doesn't take a long time. They don't have to get sequestered in some room for 3 hours.
Right.
I mean, it can happen in 10 minutes.
Right.
So therefore, you have to stay on top of this at all times.
Carl, I think it's cool that you use your celebrity to help, promote things like this and highlight stuff like that. And you're probably involved in a whole bunch of different organizations. Is it tough to pick and choose which ones? Because you can't support everything. You only have so much time, you know?
Well, for me, it's funny. My parents were progressives. I mean, they were community activists. I, of course, growing up, I thought that was normal, but now I realize it really wasn't. I mean, I didn't know what the Jersey Shore was. I just thought it was some place over there. We never went. I was always following them.
Sure.
But where it starts for me, it starts at like 18 and under through my foundation and the work that I do. It usually starts with youth, and that's whether best buddies with kids with intellectual disabilities or education or scholarships. So that's kind of how I do it. So generally it's in schools and with kids, because we always say that if we can get them, we can save them. And my job isn't to save one, it's to save them all, because that's really our opportunity to try to save them all, and we should shoot for every child.
Do you do mentoring for athletes still? People that are especially in track and so forth?
Well, I do. I'm actually a volunteer coach at my high school, and
Cool.
I also focus on, I tell people all the time, we have enough fast black boys, we need black men. So, plenty of them.
Wait, what high school, by the way?
I went to Willingboro High School.
All right, so you're a
from
coach?
New Jersey.
Yeah,
yes.
no, I knew that.
Mr.
So-
Christie, go on.
but you volunteer.
Well done.
But you volunteer at that school as well?
Yeah, I volunteer. I'm a volunteer coach for 4 years now.
I didn't know that.
Imagine Carl Lewis being your coach.
Right?
That'd be pretty cool.
Oh,
That'd be really
I get in them too.
Yeah, do
And
ya?
we have a kid right now that's signing. The national signing date's the first. He has a full scholarship going to school and getting all these offers, and other kids are going. And the thing about it is that we just have to make sure that we continue to give hope in their eyes. If you talk to a lot of kids that have bad grades, you ask them why. Many times they'll say, because I didn't think I'm going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Just tell them, keep your grades up, and if they don't have a message or they don't understand, I break it down to them and say, well, do you understand how important college is? No, I don't get it. Okay, let me tell you something. College is expensive, okay? You get good grades, it becomes cheaper. And if you finish whatever, you make more money in life, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is that easy enough for you? They give you money to make more money. Isn't that simple? Go to school and study while it's free.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good
Let's
point.
break it down.
They've got to see the example in front of them. They've got to see how, they've got to see someone who's, and you are a perfect example of how
That
it
sat in their
same classroom, yeah.
I'll never forget. It was a junior year, and this guy was a senior. I was a band geek in high school, and I remember him telling me he was looking at colleges and so forth, and he goes, yeah, I got a merit scholarship, and I'm like, And he explained to me what that is. I mean, and I go, you mean you can go to college for free if you're really smart? I just thought you had to be like the quarterback or something like that. And I was like, I did not know that.
I had a great mentor growing up. It was my grandfather, it was my mom's dad, and in 1984 he took me to the Olympics in Los Angeles, and for me it was just I was 9, and it was this incredible experience going to see them. But he knew about you, and he said, Nick, we got to go see this guy, Carl Lewis. We have to watch him race at least once because we're in Los Angeles. This is the Olympics. We never know we're going to see him again. So in '84, I got to see you do not the gold medal race, but a prelim for the 100 meter. And I swear to God, I didn't know people could run that fast. I'm watching this, and I'm like, you know, because I would do field day in elementary school and whatever, and be really lucky if you could break 15 seconds in the 100-meter dash or whatever. It just was one of those transcendent experiences for me. So I'm sure people come up to you all the time and say that they got to watch you race or even watch you on TV or whatever. But thank you for an incredible childhood memory, man. It was amazing.
I tell you, LA was amazing. I mean, to go to your first Olympics in your own country and try to have something like that, there's no way in the world I could have accomplish that anywhere else in another country because being at home. And then as you may remember, LA was just, there was no traffic, there was no smog. It was like, you got to be kidding me. It was a great place to be.
It was perfect.
They fooled the world.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it was just unbelievable to walk in and 90,000 people are there. And of course, you walk in with this uniform like we see our Eagles. And
Sure.
And it was such a great time, and it just kickstarted a career that just kept going and went all the way to 96.
Yeah, the Coliseum it's in a sort of a strange part of town, and it's kind of been run down since, but then it just with the torch up above, it looked incredible, and it just the whole atmosphere in Los Angeles, I just remember it being really just like a beautiful town for a couple of weeks. It was great.
I've been working out at a sports training facility, and there's a girl there who is training for the Olympic trials, and it is unbelievable. So I mean, I can't even, and she's just on a treadmill. I didn't know the treadmills went that fast.
Oh, really?
It is.
So wait, she's full on sprinting for how long?
It is unbelievable.
They don't. She's making it do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is. I can't even. I'm speechless when I watch her. She is so fast.
Can you, talking about the recollection, Nick's recollection, can you remember just about every race? I mean, in other words, because you seem to have such a command of your life and the direction of your life, and do each of those moments register for you, or do they become a blur because of all your success weighing in on it? Can you pull out specific moments and recall them and how you felt at those moments?
That's a good question. I mean, it's kind of both because LA, for instance, it was a blur because I competed 7 out of 8 days,
right?
14 competitions, so it was just nonstop. Every time I stopped, I was starting again.
Plus, you run really fast, so it happens like it's over.
And then when it's funny because when I finished the 100 meters at 7 p.m. at night, you go to drug testing, yada yada. You get home at 10 o'clock. I had to compete at 10 in the morning, so you have to forget it.
Wow.
So, but I do remember like crossing the line in the 100 meters, and my father passed away in '87, so that was kind of the only games that they were together. My parents were together, and the one strongest memory is when I was jogging around the track.
Right.
I grabbed this flag from a guy in the stadium, and I remember seeing my parents standing up in the stadium, and my father was holding my mother's arm, and it was like they were sitting there cheering. But then later on, I went up and I waited for them to come down. They didn't come down, and he was holding her arm, and they were there. So later I said, well, I was calling you. Why didn't you come down? And my father was kind of like, we weren't holding hands. I was holding your mother because she wanted to run down. It was your time. You go in and run around the lap. She'd have been all on the field and everything.
How many times did you break the world record in the 100 meters?
Twice in the 100 meters.
All right.
Yeah.
So at what point do you think nobody's going to be able to break the world record anymore?
We'll be dead.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a record to be broken.
What is it? Is it in the 8s now, or is it still in the 9s?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's still in the 9s, yeah.
Do you think it'll ever get into the 8s? Do you think it'll ever get into the 7s?
You know what? I think that by the time it's going to get to a very fast time, and then we'll have cyborgs doing everything.
Right.
I mean, come on, let's be real.
Or do you think we'll have to go into like another 1,000th of a second, or no? All right, so hundreds, thousands.
It's people accept records staying until it's broken, so we don't have to break it down like that. I honestly think we're headed right now. People don't even want to work out to lose weight. They want a pill. So by the time that people get to the point where that point, they're going to say, forget it. Why are we running? Let's just have someone else do it for us. Really, I honestly believe that's where we're headed.
Let me ask you, Carl, since so much you are all the merits and all the achievements that you've gotten through your life. There was a story I was watching the other day. I forget what news show it was, but it basically was pointing out the fact that schools and athletic programs now try to make everyone feel like a winner, so that no one gets to feel what it's like to lose and to try to better yourself. Do you know what I'm saying?
I totally know.
I mean, do you see that going on, and what do you feel about that?
I completely disagree.
Yeah.
I think that everyone wins. It's not true. It's not life. It's not real. They say don't keep the score, and at the end of the game, kids said 3-4, we won. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think that just instead of what I try to tell parents, especially that are hovering, my little Johnny can't take it. Look, the bottom line is that you should go to a competition, encourage them, sit in the stands, because that's one of the things I always tell parents: sit your ass